The original Nigerian pepper soup. I tell you, like it, you love it.
That's fish soup right there, man. Got that. That's very good. Super spicy, super sweet.
We can put the authentic African spot on the
It makes it very tasty.
Hello, slow parenting family from across the globe. Thank you so much for this time of your joining us on another episode of your program, the Slow Parenting Program on Nostalgia Media. This is the same time of every week. We come to you Wednesdays like this, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US, Canada, and US and Canada, yes. Eastern Standard Time, yes, I said that right. Yeah. And then 7 p.m. West Africa time, including Nigeria. Okay. And today, we are going to be looking at another issue with our children and our parents. Okay, because there can't be children without parents, and there can be parents without children. We are looking at that entire relationship between parents and their children, especially out there, okay, in society. What are we seeing? What are the things that are happening that we could learn from, or we could, become talking points from which others could also pick one thing or the other. So today, like always, we are here not alone. I'm not alone. I'm then joined by other resource persons on the Slow Parenting Program. We're going to be looking at issues related with celebrations today. Okay, we're going to be looking at issues related to celebrations today. Celebrations are good things. Achieving or celebrating achievements, celebrating milestones, landmarks, graduations, birthdays, all of those are things, happen, important time in the lives of individuals that need to be celebrated. But we're going to be looking at the celebration itself in details. We're going to be looking at, how do we go about these celebrations, especially or in particular, we're going to be looking at celebrating our children as they graduate from high school or secondary school, the one that are popularly called PROMS. Okay. Like I've said earlier, celebrations are good things and achievements are good. When our children have gone to school, they've sat for examinations, they've done well, we should encourage them, we should clap for them, we should make them feel good about the fact that they are sent off to do studies in schools, and they have gone from one class to the other, and then gotten to the end of that particular journey at that particular phase of their lives. We should celebrate it. But how do we go about, the celebration? That's what we are looking at today on the program, Slow Parenting. At this point, we want to welcome Mrs. Yetunde Banjo. Ms. Banjo, welcome. We are happy you're here with us today. Also welcoming Boluwatiwe Ayo Opalike to the program. Welcome, Bolu. Welcome, Yetunde. How are you, ladies?
We are well, thank you, Dr. Adesu.
I'm not seeing the face of the people who are well. So
Please just give me a moment.
There's always an issue of not seeing our faces.
I know. Forgive us. Just give me a moment,
okay.
please.
I can see Bolu is on transit, but then we are happy she could join us even while in transit. Yes. Bolu, let me put you up for pinning so that we can. Okay. She has actually muted her camera.
Sorry, because it's dark, so I couldn't turning on my head.
No, but we could see you. We could see you earlier. So it's okay. Yeah, we can see you. Sure. Don't worry. But just please put your. We are much more concerned about what happens on the road, unless you are stationary right now or you're moving your mobile.
Yeah, I'm moving, but I can hear you. I'm using a hand free. So.
Oh, okay, please. We are particular about that. All right. So today, like I said, people, parents, children, grandmas, grandpas, parents to be, we are talking about celebrations. Okay, we are looking at modes of celebrating our children's achievements. Okay, what is enough? What is standard? What should we not be encouraging the children to think of, not to talk of doing? What is allowable, what should be acceptable, what should not be encouraged when it comes to celebrations, especially at certain ages, at certain levels of our children's development. Today, we are going to be looking at or talking about a video that has gone viral on the internet, okay? A video about some secondary school, final year secondary school students who must have just finished writing their exams. The results are not out even yet, okay? They just finished writing their examinations, and then they got to celebrate their graduations, okay? We're going to be looking, and we'll not be showing that video, okay? We will not be showing the video because I don't have a right. We don't have right to the video, so we'll not be showing it here. But we'll be talking about it. It's a video of secondary school students arriving for their graduation from secondary school in classic cars, like movie stars, if you like celebrities and all of that. It's good. It's good for the optics, but what about the messaging? Okay, what about the message? All right. Mrs. Banjo, are you with us?
Yes, I am, sir.
But we need to see you, so to be sure that you're with us. Okay.
I am here with you. Please, like I said, just give me some time.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of something, so okay. I may not look good on camera. So just give me some minutes.
Okay. So Bolu, you're with us. You've watched the video. Questions here, or rather
yes.
Perspectives here. Celebrations are good things, yes. It's good to celebrate landmarks, achievements, make our children feel good, appreciate them, applaud them when they have attained successes at the things that they are set out to do. What would be, you've seen the video, Bolu, I suppose?
Yes, I have.
What's your take on the video?
Okay. I wish I could say I was surprised, but I wasn't. Primarily because, a lot has happened in recent times that has shown us like some type of trajectory, where we are headed, I guess, as a nation. So I'm being specific now about Nigeria. We've seen schools do all sorts of things, tolerate all sorts. And so I guess it did not come to me as a surprise. Although it did not come as a surprise, I think for me, I was just amazed at how they took it a notch higher. And I think that's just what happens when things are not nipped in the bud. So something happens and then, everyone just talks and it makes the news and then we laugh. It's like we just run commentary. And then right after that, everyone goes back to normal as if nothing actually happened. And so they really don't think it's bad, I guess. They just assume that it's for the gram or it's for social media, it's for likes, it's for, making the headlines and the news. And they don't really see how it's all wrong. So I trust that what we are here to do is not to cast aspersions per se, and this is not to say we are judging, but to say that we're helping them by offering perspective, if you may. To say that, yes, just like you have started with, that celebrations are good to have. It's okay to celebrate milestones. It's even important to, because, again, maybe in the past, we're a culture of people that did not quite appreciate, our little wins. We were taught to almost dismiss, diminish, undermine the little wins. And like, wait for those massive milestones. And so I guess now I understand why it's important for us to celebrate every single milestone. But how you celebrate is important. For me, that was not just lavish. That was extravagant. That was unnecessary. And because of even adults, if I may say so, adults should not even celebrate like that. Like people that are earning their own money, like I'm earning my naira, my cover, I'm earning my dollars. I really shouldn't be spending it so lavishly like that in public, and not to talk of children that do not earn any income. Even if a few of them there might be opportune to maybe have some kind of holiday job or whatever that are any income, it's still not the right way to live. It's not the right, that's not the image you want to project at any level of your life, even as an adult, like an adult that is a millionaire. We have millionaires around the globe. We see how they live. So there's something about living that is not just like about life, rather that is not just about lavishness. I mean, it's unnecessary. It's absolutely unnecessary, in my opinion. And it was just, I wondered, how did they get those things? How did they get the rentals? How did they get they would have rented, or even if the vehicles were their fathers, and they would have taken those vehicles with permission. It showed that there was an elaborate planning that went into all of that. So I think that there was not one parent in the dissenting voice. There was not one school teacher that caught on to the news that people are planning this kind of thing. No, there was not one person in that school or in their homes that could just nip it in the bud or ensure that it did not happen. I'm just wondering how that happened. And people were taking videos of it, and nobody could like immediately say, "Oh yeah, pack this up, stop this right away." And it went on and it became the news. Abba. It didn't make sense at all.
Okay, Bolu, thank you so very much. If you go back to look at the video, look at the way the students, the non-graduating students, if I might use that term, how they just stood, folded their arms, and were looking at this spectacle. What would you think was going through the minds of those other ones that have not left school? Which is like the rest of society, really. What would be going through their minds?
That question is still for me, sir.
It's still for you, yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, all sorts. Undue pressure, unnecessary pressure for the youngsters. even for an adult, it's also pressure for an adult. I mean, if I was someone that, peer pressure is not just about your peers, if I may say so. It's about society altogether. So you can imagine an adult that has been wanting to just own a small car, maybe a Camry, and has not been able to afford one and is working. And then you see children with,
In this case, if you say adults now, you will say maybe a teacher in that school, for instance.
A teacher in that school, even maybe the principal, even.
No, well, the principal is still a teacher, is a staff in the school, okay?
Yes, absolutely. So I get you with that. So it's just like undue pressure. Like, wow, so with everything that I have worked for in this life, I cannot even afford these things that these children are brandishing. And then even the younger ones too. And it's just small wonder why we now have things like Yahoo Plus and all other kinds of devices, because people seem to be under pressure to make money, not just for necessities, not for to be able to make ends meet and be able to provide for your basic human needs, but for things like this, for extravagancies. Permit me, sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right, but you get what I mean. For show off, just for the need to be able to show off. So undue pressure, and it almost makes you want to, except somebody that is well grounded, want to question your values, the things that have anchored you, the things your philosophies even. To say perhaps this is what society needs, perhaps this is what I need to do to show that I'm, making money, or I'm in town, I'm happening. Or some people call it steez now, before it was swag. So every now and again, it's like we're just pushing the borders, pushing the boundaries, like literally taking off ceilings and breaking down all the walls. It's yeah.
Okay, Olu, thank you so much, because you raised, there are some issues you raised, as you are making your contribution. Like, didn't somebody, see this? Obviously, like you also said, this took some very elaborate planning. Okay, it would not have been possible for this to have been done if it wasn't coordinated. The PTA will know about it. The school authorities itself will know about it. Then the parents, you also said something about rentals and all of that. It probably wouldn't be all of the cars that these young people took for this prom that would have been owned by their parents. Some parents would have had to go rent cars, or borrow cars from their friends or families just for the children to go to school, to go to show. Part of the commentaries or comments on the original video online itself was like, somebody was trying to comment to say, oh, during our own days when we went to school, you go for your graduation party, DJ is there, all of you come. It's just about you at least trying to dress, maybe in costume, if you like. That was the height of it, You agree on what kind of costumes you are going to arrive in. Like you said, Bolu, this has been taken a notch, or not even one notch, several notches higher. Okay? Several notches higher. And parents, we are talking about children who haven't even passed high school, or they've not passed. Okay? They just wrote the exams. The external results are not out. Okay? You already given them this impression that, oh, you've arrived. Oh, everything is okay. I mean, and then the their junior ones that have not graduated, that are not graduating, stood at one corner, arms folded across their chest, and then also, of course, planning. You can be sure that maybe when it gets to their turn, they will probably think about arriving in aircrafts or helicopters. All right? Mrs. Banjo, are you with us? Wow. Okay, so what are the issues here? What are the issues in this video?
I am with you. My phone is misbehaving. Hello.
Yeah. You watch this video that we are profiling, we're talking about today, about the prom, the young people arriving for their graduation from high school, secondary school.
Hello. Hello. It seems like there's something with the internet. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. I was the internet, you froze for a moment there, so I don't think you were hearing me.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Your question again. I'm here with you.
I'm saying, did you watch the video that we are talking about today of the students arriving in their school premises for their graduation from high school, from secondary school?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Quite frankly, I was like, I'm trying to find the word to use, but I was okay, for lack of a better word, I was bewildered. And I was like, okay, why? Because if you look at the whole thing, one thing about Nigerians is that we're extra. We're very extra about everything. The concept of prom, I mean, when we went to school, when people, some generations as mine is so very long ago. So that's, I can't talk of mine because that's like 30 years. But, I'm talking about like, even up until 10 years ago, the idea of prom was not that well grounded. Maybe it was beginning to take root in the minds of some. But you see, that prom thing is a foreign concept. When we were in school, Dr. Josie, you bear me witness, what we had was valedictory service. Yes. We had valedictory service, and we'd dress up and we'd go for that. And it was always very sane, and it was sane and good. We looked forward to it, and it was sufficient. It was appropriate for the time. But now you see that people are trying to mimic Hollywood. They're trying to do like Golden Globe and all that stuff. And that's because we as Nigerians, we always take everything. You were talking about notches now. If other people will take it by a yard, we will take it by miles. And you'd be like, how did they come up with this? So when I looked at that, my first thought was that, remember that conversation we had around parenting, around entitlement. Yes. And how parents are more or less enablers of these things that children do. And there is no way that was not well coordinated by the parents. The coordination must have been done by the parents. There must have been a forum where they sat down and said, "Oh, let's take it this way." Because everything that you saw, those were SSC3 kids. Mm-hmm. They could never have the kind of money to do that. They would never have the kind of links that would get them those cars and things like that. They had to do it in collaboration with their parents.
What about the school? What about the school?
Yes, and of course the school too. So where are the fora where those parents meet? Primarily or first and foremost would be school. And then they would also have their own, because I hear that there are WhatsApp groups and all sorts of things now where parents exchange ideas and exchange information.
Which is not bad if the information you are exchanging is good.
Absolutely, I agree with it. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that they have all these fora where they connect and where they talk about things, and it was well coordinated in such fora. So, and the first thing that would bring them together was the fact that they're in the same school. By chance, some of the parents would be friends. That's possible, but the school primarily was their place of connection, and that was where they came together and made a decision about what to do for that thing. And it was like, we're going to make it out of this world. You were commenting about
about this today. Okay.
Okay, Professor, you want to
I don't know you want to talk about this.
jump in?
There are several things I want to say about it, which I will not like to say it online because
You have to.
it's
You
annoying.
need to. You need to, sir.
It's,
You need to.
it's very annoying.
No, sir. You need to
Where
say it as you feel it.
it's just it's absurd. It's absurd. I just Pastor Banjo, thank you very much. Oh.
I'm not
This
done talking yet, you.
You're not
I'm
talking
just
yet.
annoyed. I'm
I know.
annoyed on this, you know.
So,
I'm annoyed. I can
like I
tell you.
was saying, to pointing it back to the parents, because the parents were the enablers of those kids. You were talking about some kids standing with I'm sure that was the first of its kind, because with the posture of the people who were watching and the looks on their face, you could see a lot of it. And for me, I could not finish watching that video. I was so irritated.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Banjo.
Okay, yeah. So, like you were talking about the people who were bystanders watching all those things. You could see that it seemed like a new thing to them, something they had really never seen.
Yeah, sure.
And then for me, as somebody watching that video, truth be told, I didn't finish watching it. When I watched and I'm like, what is this? That was my first thing. What is this? What kind of parents? And, for me, things at that level could not have been done by those children. No. It wasn't. They were well enabled and empowered by their parents. And it was a well coordinated thing. So it was not like a child or two. Like you would have two or three kids who would be extra, but it was like consistently several of them, all of them coming down from big cars, all dressed up, looking like they were going for Golden Globe. And I'm like, okay, where are we going with all of this? What kind of life are these children going to live? And like some of the questions you were asking her, I said, so what pressure? Asking Mrs. Okaleke, what pressures are they putting on those kids who are standing with hands akimbo and watching them? What is going through their mind? Are they like, hey, my own turn, I will do more? Or some of them are saying, how will I cope with this? Or how will I do what these people are doing? So already you have created a monster, because the propensity to make things bigger and better is what happens with us in Nigeria. So the first one, that was the next one is going to be worse. And then what does it breed? Then the children whose parents cannot afford that, they'll feel like they are being ostracized. They'll feel like they're less than. They'll have pressures. They get all these societal ills that are being multiplied on a daily basis. There are some things that were strange to the hearing 25 years ago. Those things have become commonplace. There's some lingo that it's like, I will ask people, what does that mean exactly? I'm talking of this day and age. What do you mean by that? There are things I've never heard before, but they become commonplace. It has gone into the language of Nigerians. And it's all about parents and all about them wanting their kids. There was something that happened. Please, I'll finish on this note. A friend of mine, I'm not going to mention that school, but a friend of mine, they moved from here back to Nigeria. And then she was looking for a good school for her kids. And at that time, they told her this particular school was good. And she took her kids there. And when she got there, she was like, I know her to be a very principled person. So she said, you know what, they're only going to, because I've paid their school fees, they're only going to stay there for 1 year. I do not like the values they're communicating to the kids. He says it's all about money. The kind of things they do in the school. She said, I don't want my kids exposed to that. They'll tell them to bring money for something occasion, and the people will be, at that time, I'm talking about 10 years, 12 years ago. And so some parents would drop 10 million for a school event, just like, okay, let's just have a Christmas party or some kind of party thing. And the parents will drop 10 million, and another one will come and want to top that. And, all sorts of funny things. She says, no, this is not good for my children. It's not good for me. It doesn't roll with my principles. And when she finished that year, she took the children out of the school and took them to another place. So the truth of the matter is that even parents we were talking about parents saying that I don't want my kids to suffer it has gone beyond just suffering what I suffered, but they want to give them whatever they request, whatever they demand. They think it's their place to say, your wish is my command. And it's not helping them. It's turning everything upside down. I mean, like I told you, I was bewildered. I was like, what's this? I could not even watch it till the end. And we're going down a very bad, slippery slope with all those things that are happening.
Thank
My
you.
my
Thank
humble
you.
submission.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Banjo. You are not alone in the issue of not watching the video to the end. I was compelled to watch it to the end because we are going to use it to for this program. That was the only reason I watched it to the end. You know, and let's not make any mistake about these things. We are all complaining that things are not going well in the general population. Okay? These are secondary school, high school students. They are not even graduates yet. Like I said, when I mean graduate, I mean they are not even high school graduates yet. They are not even secondary school graduates yet because their exams have not come out. The results have not come out. So you don't even know whether they are going to repeat or, for instance, I'm sorry, no matter how much I have, I can't have, I'm not judging. And we are not on this program to judge, okay? But we're still talking, these are just talking points. I don't know what my child will come back to tell me. Yes, I can ask the driver, I can drive. Yes, I do that. I did that. Drop them in the school for their school programs and all of that. Maybe if it's program that parents are invited to, I'll be there with them. We'll finish. We'll take them. We are going back to parenting. We are saying this is a parenting failure. It's not about these children, okay? The children can come in. It could be the idea. It must be the idea. I'm not sure the idea. I don't think the idea would have come from their parents. Okay. A child might have seen this. They might have seen, Ms. Banjo said it's foreign. They might have seen something, Golden Globe and all of this. Who are appearing for Golden Globe they've arrived. They are professional. They've done things. They have attained things. Your children have just written maybe the first major external examination they're going to have to write through life. The results are not even out. You are giving them a larger than life impression, expectation, view, mirror of things. What's still the impression, the pressure you are bringing to bear on that school environment, from the staff to the remaining students? It's not positive. There can't be anything positive about it. It wouldn't be every child in that school that the parents could afford to have. And we're not saying everybody must be the same. We're just saying let the children have value. Let them be able to know that there are stages. It's like the last episode that we did about somebody in one level of life talking about eternity with somebody else that is steps ahead of that child in wanting to go into a relationship with this other child. Somebody is in just like these ones who are just graduating, who have just written their secondary school exams, wanting now to say they want to date somebody who is already in the university. Whether it's male or female, we can say, oh, there's nothing wrong in relationship. There's everything wrong with that because you are getting ahead of yourself. And parents should be in a position or in positions to be able to point this out to their children. Okay? I will tell a short story here, and then I will call Dr. Yowale, Dr. Sarumi to come in with his comment or his contribution. Several years ago, my first daughter had to go to a private university. I'm picking my words. Had to go to private university. There were some issues with her in Nigeria, what's called JAM. It's a general examination for secondary school graduates who are seeking to go to college. Okay, there were issues with her JAM and all of that. And at that time, the educational system was such that, okay, if you couldn't get in to the public universities, the private universities were given an opportunity to absorb some of, so that was it. That was the only reason that she went to a private university, not because we were looking for a private university for her to go to. So she ended up at a private university. It was that university called Covenant University in Nigeria. She went to Covenant University. So something happened. I had to go visit her. Okay, no, it was actually graduation. When they were going to graduate, she came home with a list of things that the school required them to bring. There's a ring. That time, the ring was 25,000 naira. So many things, plates, and it wasn't the money. I'm not a rich man. I don't have it, but it wasn't about the money. And this was supposed to have been a Christian university. And then you are saying the children should pay for ring to show that they went to, which for me, I said, this is a cult. I'm not paying. I took off. I said I needed to go to see the school or management. I drove to the school and I met with the direct person that was handling the admin, and eventually I got into his office. And okay, yes, you want to see me? Yes. And the next thing he will say is, oh, have you seen our queens and our kings? I'm like, excuse me, sir. Take a good look at me. Okay? I'm not a rich man. My daughter is in this school to get an education. She lives when she leaves the school, she's going to mix up with other young people from a diverse, from diverse backgrounds. The impression you are giving them here, the impression you are giving her here, is not a helpful one. Now, are you going to provide her with a job, okay, to do after living here? I asked all of, he said, no, we have to treat our queens. And I'm like, okay, excuse me, please, sir. We are saying the orientation you are giving these children is not sustainable when they get out of here. You're not preparing them to be able to face up with realities that they're going to face when they get out of school. They're going to go back to their neighborhoods where they live, their friends in church. They have to go to the same market that everybody goes to. You live. It took 2 years, people. It took 2 years after my first daughter graduated from the university for us to be able to get her back to normal. When I say back to normal, to get her back to, for instance, she couldn't go to the market by herself. She couldn't go to the market by herself. And we are talking about somebody this at the university level now. But these ones are just written secondary school exams. And you're giving them this impression that life they don't, it's whatever they want. No. Like we say, it is not everything you have money to buy that you must buy. And you must be able to pass that on to your children. And we've said on the slow parenting program severally, what are your family values? What are your cultural values? What are your traditional values? What are the legal statutes in the environment or society where you live? Those are the things you should present to your children. You don't present to their children that they do not have to work to be able to live lavishly. Even if they are working, okay? Even if they are working. Celebration, beautiful. Like Mrs. Van just said earlier on. In those days, we do graduation, valedictory ceremony services in school as you graduate from whether high school, A-levels or O-levels. The concentration was on what you dress, what you wear, how you arrive. You could even agree with your friends to maybe costumes, and that's it. But it's about appearing, in a formal attire. because you are looking at getting into the general society to be able to look responsible. Look, I use the word look responsible. So, Professor Wale, please. You are a parent. You are also a parent. Yeah. What I mean by that is you are involved in schools administration. What should have been the role? What should be the role of schools in situations like this? Oh, we've lost Professor Wale here. Mrs. Ayo Palike, let me come back to you. Bolu, what should be the role? Okay, Professor Wale looks like he's coming back. Professor Wale, what should have been the role of the school authorities in this particular school?
You see, what I want to say is that I think I saw this clip almost 3 weeks ago, and I called one of my friends who is a professor in Uniben, and I told her, I said, what is this I'm looking at? Please watch it and let us speak. She watched it and said, in this Benin, I didn't see this. I said, well, I think you need to go and find out who are the people behind it. And she came back and said, it was the Parent Teacher Association that took that decision, that is what they wanted to do. So both the parents and the teachers and the school, they are responsible for that ignominy. It's an eyesore in our culture. Prom is not in our culture, in our educational culture, whatever. It doesn't fit. We are copying wrong thing. There are things we need to copy. But unfortunately, our policymakers, our parents, I was trying to write some things on the chat. I don't know whether you saw some things I posted there. There are some things I posted on the chat. There are 5 pillars or we call 5 molders of children. The first is the parent, and in this case, the parents are part of the culprits. The second is the school. The third is the religious organization or whatever. Then the society and the people around. But in this case, all of these molders, they have failed, completely failed. And you see, we kept discussing, why do we copy wrong thing that does not, fit into our culture, that does not improve education or learning, but that allow children, that sow into the subconscious of the children that they don't need to work hard. That is exactly what that thing projected. And
did you notice they were spraying money?
I know. We watched it. We discussed this thing. In fact, there is something I'm writing on it. And me and that professor want to do a paper on. It's wrong. It's not in our culture. Just
money,
like
Pastor Yetunde said,
a decree. Huh?
I said, money spraying is not in our culture.
No, you see, you are picking. I'm talking about that prom as a teacher.
Okay,
I'm not picking what because without the parent consent and without the school agreeing, look at. I mean, just like Ms. Banjo said, look at the big Rolls Royce and what have you, and what image and what impression are we sowing into the minds of the children who are the one in the junior school?
Even their dressing, sir. Even their dressing. We are forcing them to grow up. It's like somebody is in a hurry for them to become adults. Even the dressing. even beyond the cars and all of that. These children are being forced into unprepared adulthood. And then it's the general society that ultimately pays for it. Okay? We can be talking about politicians doing this, that. Who are the politicians? Who will these ones become tomorrow? Okay, so, but Mrs. Banjo, if you are okay, Bolu, are you there? If you are there,
I'm here.
okay, Mrs. Banjo, let's take this, let's break this down now. The parents have failed, the school has failed. The children, well, we don't know whether they were forced into this, because I mean, looking at
the children could not have been forced. That was what the children wanted. I can bet anything. That was what the children wanted.
Okay.
Nobody forced them. I'm sure the children had been mooting those ideas to their parents. This is what we wanted. These days of internet, where the world becoming a global village. Dr. Iwole was talking about our culture. Where is our culture? Our culture has been eroded. What we have now is a foreign culture, trying to find, jostle with our traditional values and the ones that we think we have held dear. And it seems like for this so-called Gen Z, our culture is losing out. It's losing out completely. And then they want to create their own culture. So when I look, you see, you talked about spraying money. I didn't watch it up to that part because I was so thoroughly disgusted. I said, no, I cannot. Dr. Iwole called it ignominy. I cannot continue to watch this. I'm totally bewildered, and I'm embarrassed that there are some parents who would do that, who would put the money down and back that whatever their children are doing.
Let's look at another aspect. Sorry, thank you. Let's look at another. I'm still with you, Mrs. Banjo. No, I'm still with you. Now, let's look at another aspect of this whole thing. We said the parents have failed. Yes, the school, from what has been said, have failed. Okay, the children themselves, they have dreamt wrongly. Okay, and they were enabled. Now, what about the educational system, the educational authorities? What should they do? What should we? Yeah,
that school is a private school. Definitely, it's not a public school.
Private schools are also regulated. They have a regulated in the Ministry of Education. Okay, they have a section that regulates private schools, secondary public schools. So they are still under authority. So
the question, sir, is this: what do they regulate? What do they regulate? I'm sure they regulate the curriculum. What else? What name is that called over there? They regulate the curriculum, the number of weeks of schooling and those kind of things. Those ones are standard. Do they regulate things like, because we started by talking about celebrations? Do they regulate celebrations? Do they regulate what?
All those things fall under what they regulate. I still have an idea. I still have an understanding.
I don't think so, sir. I don't think so.
Okay, even if they don't regulate, now, what should we be talking about? What should the regulatory bodies do concerning things like
exactly? Now is when they
regulate. Whom are you? Okay, I lost you. Which regulators are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Ministry of Education is what he's talking about.
No, you see the hello?
Okay, sir. Are you with us? Go ahead, Professor Arumi.
Yeah, you see, primary education and secondary education is supposed to be the jurisdiction of the state, and so the Ministry of Education are the ones to be, to give them the guidelines. And I think the guidelines are there, but our problem is that we hardly obey laws in this country. There are several things in the education status, that talks about moral character building and what have you.
Exactly, I thought so too, because I know that they were there.
There are, but the problem with us is that both the regulators, the executors, and those whom the governed, everybody has thrown caution to the wind. And because of our impunity system, because that's what there is too much impunity in our system. And that's the reason why every aspect of our system has been corrupted. So there are regulations, but unfortunately, you don't even know what is in the books anymore. Things like these are not there. What I wanted to say, which Pastor Banjo will talk about, is the valedictory service. That's what we always do in those days.
Prof, let me just read a comment by somebody. It said, will they still go to the university like this? Can you hear me, sir?
They will go and come and go and spoil university the more. They will go now. Some of them might not go, depending on, but I mean, we have said it here. It's their parents who bought those things for them. Definitely they don't have such money, unless some of them are into Yahoo or whatever it is. But then their parents are the one that brokered it. So definitely, some of them will still go to university, and then definitely we are seeing the product that will come out of that university based on those actions. The way they are dressed, like Nollywood and all of those things. I mean, your Hollywood something, as if to say they are superstars, and then they have arrived and made it. So it's just unfortunate. That's all I would say. It's unfortunate.
Bolu, again, let's get into the area of recommendations now, because it's not enough to everybody. I'm here to see a comment that's applauding what happened in that video. Okay, now, what recommendation should we be, putting out there for the parents, for school authorities, even for the regulatory agencies within the educational system? Mrs. Banjo.
Sir, like Dr. Iwale said, it's very unfortunate. It really is unfortunate, heavily unfortunate, and that these kind of things. And you see that's the problem. Even though we're talking about ministries of education having some guidelines on these things, I doubt that those guidelines are they give them like a general guideline. Things should be done to protect morals, something, and all that stuff. But what actually constitutes that? What constitutes that? So there are gray areas, and some areas are areas of subjectivity, depending on who is looking at it. Now, policymakers, with this, I hope it's coming, the school itself. I think the school, parents are the major troublemakers. That's the truth. They'll say, and because schools depend on the money, it's a for profits situation. So, and it is he who pays the piper, who dictates the tune. So that school that I spoke of, the parents will come and they'll beat up a teacher, and the principal will apologize to the parents. And the teacher who has been beaten up, there's no recourse for action. So if the Ministry of Education would regulate private schools better, because private schools are set up for profits, and it's the person who brings money to their school that they want to do their bidding. So regulators should spell out some things and not leave some things open to interpretation, so that if they say, okay, we want to deal with things like morality and decency and things like that, it should be spelled out. These are the things that should be done and should not be done. This should be should be what is acceptable, and anything beyond that is because we look at it and we say, really and truly, they're exercising their fundamental human rights to do whatever they want to do. Isn't that so? Because this is the generation, that's what a Gen X Gen Z person would say. But the truth is that how is it impacting society as a whole? And it is up to policymakers, the people who are educators, to be able to sit down and fashion coherent, clear policies with respect to these, because we're still talking on the issue of celebrations, right? What is acceptable as a celebration in all the schools? Up until now, some schools still do valedictory service. Some have gone gaga, and they're doing what's it called, this prom, and they're taking it to the next level. But it behoves the ministry, the regulator, to say that, okay, this is what is acceptable as celebration in the school. If the school is not going to take that step, then the regulators should take that step and say, this is what is acceptable. And that any school that they find doing contrary to these things, there's going to be some consequences. Like Dr. Yewale said, impunity is our problem in Nigeria. It's not because there are no laws, but we see people do, flout those laws, break those laws, and they go scot-free. And so what does it do? It just creates a cycle of people just doing whatever they like, and the society is breaking down and everything is going crazy. So regulators have a place to clearly define or, to articulate, this is what is acceptable as celebrations within the jurisdictions of the school, so that everybody can live by it and work with it. And so we don't have that kind of eyesore, things that will make us cringe as we are watching, like, what are we doing? I mean, is this in my own lifetime? So when those things are well spelled out, it'll probably help the schools better.
Thank you so very much. Boluwati, we are your quality. We are in the territory of what should be done, So what are your, comments about what should be done? Parents, the schools, the regulatory authorities, what should happen? The children themselves. Hello, Bolu. Are you with us? Oh, okay, Prof. Bolu seems to still be on mobile. Prof, what should we do?
Well, what I will say is this, just to amplify what I just said. Parents are the first molder, and they can control which organization or school a child is exposed to at any time. If parents are not complicit, some of these things will not happen. And so our parents need to rise up and be the moral signpost for their children. Second is the institution, either the regulator, the government. Our government need to sit up, because the generations that will take over from us are not being well catered for, mentally, emotionally, educationally, and otherwise. So
Hello.
there is need for them to sit up and do what is needful, not just for today, but for tomorrow. The third is the school themselves. Pastor Banjo has spoken about that, and I will just say that the school, even though the regulator can regulate them, but the school themselves need to regulate themselves. But unfortunately, in our climate today, most of these private schools, the private school is the one that is most attended nowadays because of the failed system in our education. So many of the people that have set up the private school, if you find out, sir, are also people that are in government. And so you can see that it's like destroying the educational system, the public school, which many of us went to, are now using the same money that is stolen to now start developing private school where our children are not being well brought up. So the schools need to sit up and look at the life of these children rather than profit, like Pastor Yetunde said, because many of them are pursuing money. They are not pursuing the next generation to become better. The fourth is that religious organizations also need to sit up because they are one of the moral molders. Unfortunately, in our climate today, religious organization has gone amok. They have thrown moral overboard. They don't care about children. They don't care about next generation. They care about their pockets. Many of them, what they do nowadays is to preach prosperity rather than morals. And so they also need to sit up so that they know that tomorrow, those who are going to take over from them, if they become vagabonds or street hawkers, how will they be able to take over? So that's very important. Then, of course, the society at large. The society need to wake up. We need to start teaching morals. Wherever we go, show examples, demonstrate good character. We need to compete well and be able to do what is right. All these models that I've mentioned, they are the one that is responsible for teaching children what we call life skills. And this life skill can be taught at any level, practically or otherwise. If we keep doing that, if the child turn to any of these molders, they keep hearing the same thing, they will become better. And once a child is hearing the same thing over and over, there is no way that child will not change if what the child is hearing is positive. And if it's negative, that child will also become negative. So that's what I would just say based on what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Ayo Kwalike, your take on this? Every one of us, the comments on social media, on the video itself, people are outraged, people are appalled. Now, solution. What should happen? What should we do? How should we react to this? How should the parents, the government, the regulatory agencies, the school authorities themselves? We've heard the handicap. Yes, the school is the paid piper. Whoever pays the piper dictates the tune and all of that. Shouldn't there be some level of control that the school shouldn't there be some schools where you can say, look, not on our watch, this can't happen in this school? What should we do, Bolu?
So I, at the risk of repeating all that Professor Iwoli has said, and even what Pastor Banjo has said, it's multi-layered. The problems are multi-layered, and so we cannot have a one direction approach to solving it. We have to attack it on all fronts. The family units, the basic units, organizations like workplaces, schools, institutions of learning at all levels, from nursery. Because in kindergarten, you'd be amazed at the kind of levities, that kindergartens are allowed to have, even in some private schools as well. So it starts from the very beginning. Religious organizations, mosques, churches, even traditional rulers, local government council. It's so multi-layered, like I said, so we have to address it at all of those. Everybody must take responsibility and ownership for the roles that they have played in the way that society has become. Governance, legislature, judiciary, like everybody, law enforcement, literally everyone. And I think that as a country, when we say things like olden days, that's not our culture. That alone is one of the reasons why we are where we are. We don't even have a culture anymore. Before, when you say Omoluabi, everybody has the same definition for what Omoluabi is. If you say as a Nigerian, you cannot do that. As a Yoruba man, you cannot. As an Igbo, as a proud Igbo man, you cannot do that. As somebody that is from the northern family, everybody just knew what that meant in real tangible terms. But right now, there's no functionality to what we say culture is. Everybody's definition is what they think it is. So if we have a united front, almost like to say we should have a national orientation again of who a Nigerian is. Our Nigerianness is not just about hospitality, that some people think it is, or about catching cruise, or about having fun, about if you go to anywhere in the world and you just see a Nigerian, that place is not inhabitable. That is not what being a Nigerian is all about. Those are the superficial things that being a Nigerian about. Our Nigerianness is our culture, our ability to abide by certain values, to be anchored properly, on those certain values. So I think that, again, I don't want to repeat things that my, resource persons have shared, but all that they have shared and more is really what we will do. And we cannot say because we can't do it all at once, we can't throw our hands up and give up, and let's just begin. Advocacy such as these ones, enlightenment programs as these ones will help. having workshops here and now, again and again. All hands on deck. We really can't let it continue. We can't.
But in the present, in the instant, should the regulatory authorities hold this school accountable?
Okay, so hold accountable means different things. Again, like we said, when there's no law, there's no sin.
There are.
So it's
no. There are laws. There are laws.
So there are really about things like this specific.
Of course, there are laws.
If
There are laws about what's acceptable as. Okay, let me give an instance. Okay, luckily I went to the same high school with Mrs. Banjo. Whether it is 1 million years ago or so, it's not the issue. Those rules are still there, although they've been eroded, just like we are saying here. Then, but yeah, it's not somewhere. Somebody in that ministry, somebody's there will say, no, this thing, I'm taking it up. There's a statute that's against this. Hold somebody accountable there. Now, you couldn't do parties in the school beyond a particular time of the day. There's a time that's for light out. You can't do. I remember very clearly, Mrs. Badu, if she remembers clearly, there was one that happened. Okay, it was my house that was supposedly the winner of the inter-house sports. They gave it to another house. And then, well, one thing led to the other. One thing led to the other. And then, somebody came up. We're here notificating. It's not as if that crazy things have never happened. They happen, but when they happen, there are consequences. And that's why I'm telling this story now. Normally, before we do inter-house sport, all the houses will contribute money. And this is in one of my books. This is a story that's in one of my, actually about two of my books, really. We contribute money. The winning house will take that money to do what we call that time the victory party. So, well, forgetting somebody will say I'm still whining and whatever, how many over 40 years or so after. No. My house, I was house captain. I was house prefect for my house. We won, but then they made a mistake in the calculation. But then it was by the time it was discovered. Anyway, another house, this one, Ojudua house that time, organized the party in the school hall. Okay, organized the party in the school hall. We all went to the hall. People came to my hostel to say, "Look, why don't you come? It's like you're a bad loser." I went. The party ended when it should end, but some students went ahead and organized a party in the boys' dormitory, in the Odudua boys' dormitory. Packed some students out from the two dorms, joined them, DJ, everything that you can think of in a party was there. Now that party held, but somebody went and reported that night, and Mrs. Banjo, you know where the staff quarters were, was very far away from the hostels, very far away. The school itself was in the middle. The hostels were on one side. The staff quarters was on the other end of the world. So anything could happen in the school, But because somebody did not dance with somebody, well, there was a disagreement. So the head girl went to go and report. Now, the short and tall of this story was the school now instituted who did what? People were sent away from the boarding house over this story. Mrs. Banjo, do you remember it?
Yeah, Shebi was Titi or Kwanoyeru who went to report, Abi?
Titi went to report. Titi was a head girl. Because somebody didn't dance with her. That was the reason, okay? Whatever the story is, the school, the principal took charge. There was an inquiry. Who did what? I was in the party, but for some reason, everybody, when they wrote their statement, nobody mentioned me. I was one that eventually, each time they said they should come for the meeting for punishment, I will go and attend. And my friend would say, Richie, nobody called. Why are you coming? I was there. Now, why is it nobody called? Well, the end of the story. This was I think 2 months, about 2 months to our external A-level exams. But the principal took a stand, okay, sent anybody that was indicated to have been at that party away from the boarding house, including the final year students. They had to be resuming to school from home. And the punishment after that was when they come to school, they won't go to classes, so they were not allowed to go to classes. So they will go to the sports center. They were going to do what? Dig pit. Useless pit. Not that pit was when they would dig the pit, they were asking to close it back. Now, there was accountability. That's what I was saying here. Even some of the parents were summoned, the school summoned parents. Well, in this one now that the parents were, when you read the comments in the video, you will see that it is said, just like Professor Wale said, that it's actually the PTA that planned this, well, ignominy, like he said it is, okay? But there was accountability. Why? There are things that should not happen the way they happen. If, for instance, a parent who did not agree with that thing, some parents would. If my child went to that school, there's no way I'm going to. There's no way. It's not possible. Okay? Now, the parents, accountability. In a place where there are rules, what should happen? I don't want us to just sweep it. We are talking in general terms as if nothing can be done. We are making general recommendations. Can we call out people specifically and make recommendations as to what could be done? You never know where this will be seen. You never know who could reach with this. It could lead to some legislations if they are not there already. Bolu. Hello, Bolu, are you with us? Okay, it seems like Bolu is having...
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. My network has really been crappy. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Okay, you didn't get what I said? I said we need to, can we look at some specificity? Like I told the story, that means you also didn't hear the story.
Yes, that story, I heard that, yes.
The principal took charge. People were punished. Who were disciplined? Right. You understand?
Yes. Because they flouted a law. That's what I'm saying. In some of these private schools, you'll be amazed that there is nothing, absolutely nothing in the school's, dossier, for lack of a better word, that has anything that even talks about punishments of any kind, over abuse of any kind, even the most basic abuse like bullying. You'll be amazed that all the things that should be necessary, like child protection laws, are totally absent. You'll be amazed. We see these things. Sometimes I have occasion, through the work that I do, to just happen upon maybe a case. And then you realize that you wonder what kind of approvals the Ministry of Education gave them. Or sometimes they had those approvals and they did not have those documentations in place or policies in place. And they would tell the ministry that they would do it within a certain period of time, and they would never do it. And nobody's following up. So there's nothing. So even if it becomes a legal case, the school will win. Because there was nothing. Again, when there are no laws, there's no sin. There was nothing to hold them responsible by. So you'd be amazed. In your school, it's there in black and white, possibly because those were old generation schools. And then the people knew that those things, they were flaunting it. In this case, you'll be amazed that they have nothing to hold. Because if it was the PTA truly that actually put together that kind of event, are you saying that not one parent there would have had a dissenting voice to say no? Or one teacher like in the book of whatever, chapter this or however they say it, policy this, number this, guideline that. There's nothing to refer to if there's nothing. It's just air. So in this case, I'm saying that it would be a good reason for people to now begin to take those things seriously. But I doubt that in this case in point, this particular reference, I doubt that anything tangible of lasting effect in terms of consequences
can be done to them, because they knew that they could get away with it. For me, the effrontery, the audacity means that they knew that from a shake, they knew that they could get away with it.
Wow. Okay. Now, for us now, for our programming here, for slow parenting, what should we be saying to parents, Mrs. Banjo?
Parents, right?
Yes.
So what should we do on this program?
Not on this program. What should we be saying to parents now? Our message to parents now on this program.
Well, our parents to parents still remains the same. I think quite often at the end of the program, we say something about parents, something to parents.
Yes.
Parents are the first educators of their children. They are the role models. They are the ones who set standards. They are the ones who are supposed to communicate values to their children and hold these children accountable to those values. I remember back in the day, children have always been children. Children want to see what they can get away with at any point in time. Even when we were in the boarding school, there were some things that I would say to myself that I would engage in with, peers, that inside my heart of hearts, I know that my parents must not hear. Because if they hear, I'm a goner. Even though we will do those things, we knew that our parents had a way of holding us accountable. Because even while we were doing those misdemeanors or misbehaving, we knew that our parents were not in line with those things. They would not approve. I remember back in the day, some parents would come to school. If their children misbehaved, the parents would come to school and flog the child in front of everybody.
Yep.
So that was supposed to be like a deterrent to that child, and to communicate to everybody that if this child is misbehaving, he's not doing it with my approval or my consent.
Yep.
Now, if we could go back to parenting, while I'm not for parents to go and be flogging their children, parents should, they should know that they should communicate with their children and let them know that there are consequences. Everything has become laissez-faire these days when it comes to discipline, especially in the school space in Nigeria. Private schools are the schools where kids are going. It's the less privileged to go to public schools. Even less privileged, they are struggling to take their children to private school because they know that the standard of education in public schools is atrocious. So parents should be the ones who will, we can say regulators, we can say school. Listen, school dances to the tune, private schools dance to the tune of the parents, because they are the ones who bring the money. Can you go and you're charging school fees of 3 million, and then you'll be castigating the parents? Who's going to bring 3 million? You will not castigate the parents. You will do what the parents want, especially with parents who are so permissive. You will be like, okay. So when it comes to, if we're depending totally on regulators to regulate, yes, they can put the laws there, but if they don't enforce them, it's as bad as. But when it comes to things like celebration, because I keep going to that, celebration is the beginning of our discussion. When it comes to celebrations, I think that there should be, it should be codified and say that this is the expectation when it comes to celebrations in schools. It should not go beyond this. This should not be. This is not acceptable. That is not acceptable by law. Let's have that articulated there. But then it's up to the school to be able to uphold it. Will the school uphold it? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But then it now still comes down to parents. Parents, are you ready and willing to allow your children to live lives of discipline that later in future they will not be the ones that will cause you pain and sorrow? So it's important for parents to say, okay, what I'm allowing today, what I'm enabling today, what I'm approving today, where can it lead to in the future? We have a stronger previous generation because we had parents who made their expectations very clear to us. They made it very clear. Go to school, you have to pass, like Mr. Ayokpaleke said, Omoluabi culture. When you go there, don't do this, don't do that. Remember the child of who you are. I remember that statement. Remember the child of who you are. And we went out, even though we would misbehave, we would say, my parents must not hear. Except parents can go back to that place where they tell their children, these are boundaries. They set those boundaries. They make them very clear to the children. And when children flout those boundaries or push them, they apply some consequences right away until we have that. Because parents, see, we're the molders. We're the molders of the next generation. And if we're not molding nothing, other people will mold them for us, and we may not like what we want, what we get. So it still goes back to us, holding our children accountable, and we also holding ourselves accountable as parents. What do I agree to? What do I approve? What am I allowing my children to do? So those things are very important, So until parents, until parents grasp that, before we can have a change in the culture that's permeating our society. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Banjo. Well, you've heard it all, people. Well, this is one of the many sore stories that we have in the society today in relation to indulging children, some parents indulging their children to aspire to things that they oughtn't be aspiring to at a particular point in time. We've said it, celebrations are good things, okay? Your child has excelled in one area. It's good it makes sense to celebrate the child. It makes sense to let the child celebrate with his or her friend, his or her, siblings. It makes sense. But let us be decent, even if it's just for the issue of decency, even if it's just for the issue of letting the children have a good sense of timing and value. Timing and value. Okay? If you own a Porsche, if you don't own a Lamborghini, if you own a Ferrari, and you are taking your child to school for a school celebration, for a graduation celebration, it's not a bad thing. That's what you own, that's what you have. You drop the child. If you are attending, you park the car, it's you. You drop the car, you brought it to school. So don't have any understanding that we are knocking people because they have money or they don't. No. The point is here. Why do you sit? It doesn't help the society. It doesn't help the school authorities. It doesn't help the next generation of the students left in that school to see the graduating students arrive the way they arrived for their graduation. Some of them cannot afford those. Some of their parents cannot afford. Some of the teachers cannot. Most of the teachers, not even the case of some of the teachers, cannot afford that. Now, you are knocking discipline. You are knocking values. You are knocking hard work. Someone asked in the comment section, are these children still interested in going to the university? Good question. You are like telling them they don't need to struggle for anything. And then you wonder why they will not do well after they leave those places. You begin to wonder why they will not do well. Those are the reasons why they will not do well. Okay? So it's not in your interest. It's not in the interest of the school system, meaning the teachers, the remaining students, that you are showing up. You might have it. Everybody don't have. It's a case of also teaching our children to consider other people. Okay? That you can do it, don't mean everybody else can do it. Okay? That you can do it does not mean that everybody else can get to do what you are doing. So let's be reasonable. And for the children themselves, you are doing them a very serious harm. You are telling them to begin to aspire to things that they are not qualified to or for at, specific times. Let's do the right things at the right time. That's why we've said on this program, Slow Parenting, you are a parent. You are in the best position to train your children, to bring your children up to know your family value, your traditional value, your cultural value, the ethical values in the society. If we say there are no ethics, there's no value in it, whose fault? It's the parents. Who makes up the society? You are responsible for bringing your children up, even when it comes to celebration. It's not everything you have money you should buy. It's not everything you have money to buy when your children ask for them that you should buy for them. Let us imbibe a culture for valuing things, for crawling before walking, before running, before speeding. Okay? This whole idea of, oh, well, I can do it, just get ahead with it. It's not helping the society. Today we are blaming the politicians for, immoral sums of money that we mentioned on certain transactions, and you'll be wondering what's going on. How did this start? You are training these children to appear for secondary school graduation in that mode. What would they do when they graduate from college? What would they do? What would they do? What would they do? What would they do going forward? Okay? It's not a good trend. And we're saying, please, help the society. Help your child. That you can afford it today doesn't mean you will afford it tomorrow. And that you can afford it doesn't mean that that child will actually be able to afford it when it comes to him or her grooming or training or bringing up their own families. Okay? Mind how you present material things to your children. It's important. Let them value things. Present value to them. And as you do that, they probably will give you peace in your old age. But that trend has a lot of, unpleasant outcomes that will come out of it. And you don't want to know what those are going forward. You don't want to experience them. Let us be our brother's keeper, even if not for any other thing. Those teachers, those other students who couldn't afford such, let's consider them. Okay? Let's consider them. That's it for our program for today. Ms. Banjo, just a bye-bye, your bye-byes, and then we're out of here.
All right. Well, parents, it's our duty to communicate values to our children and to hold them accountable to those values. So as we do that, we'll make our society a better place. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you. That's it for our program today. Join us next week again on the Slow Parenting program, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West African time, including Nigeria. See you next week. Bye-bye. Stay well.
Slow parenting is simplicity parenting. Simplicity parenting.
We want to discourage a particular behavior, right? We want to deter that behavior from occurring in the future. And so we apply.
So we are talking about simplicity. We also remember that your children want to be you. They're not talking about that person that's out.
Exceptions to every rule, and no matter the best or the most noble of mirroring that we do modeling, sometimes they veer off. I know that there are exceptions.
Focus on quality time rather than